9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the March 20th edition of the Thursday Night Thunder podcast with AJ and MMK. This is episode 15 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and tonight on the most hardcore program on the internet, Mike and I once again bring you the best discussion about the world of modern motorsports you'll find out there.
The IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Rolex 24 at Daytona GT Class season opener featured a classic battle among American manufacturers Ford and Chevrolet. Its follow-up, Saturday's 73rd running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, added Germany's finest from Porsche, BMW, and Mercedes-AMG into the mix, with a pinch of Italian flair from Ferrari to create an exciting and electric mix.
The number 77 AO Racing Porsche 911 GT3R 992 stayed among the Grand Touring Daytona prototype class leaders all day, ultimately taking the point for good during a series of pit stops in the final hour. German driver Loren Heinrich held off a pair of Super Racing BMW M4 GT3 Evo that also spent the majority of the day up front in class, winning by 4.907 seconds. The Porsche, better known as Rexy, secured its first traditional IMSA endurance race win and second IMSA Michelin Endurance Cup win in its team history. After Heinrich and Michael Christensen won last September's 6-hour TireRack.com Battle of the Bricks in Indianapolis, Heinrich, Austrian Klaus Bachler, and Belgian Alessio Piccarello secured the win in one of the three longest IMSA at Sebring.
The victory was Heinrich's fourth in the series. It was the second IMSA victory for Bachelor and the first career win for Piccarillo. The jubilation was honest after such a hard-fought, long day. The outcome came down to the final minutes. The Sebring race may be half as long as its Daytona 24-hour endurance counterpart, but it was certainly twice as chippy this weekend.
Remarkably, less than 2 seconds separated the leader from the field in the G1 the final hour of the demanding 3.74-mile Sebring International Raceway road course. But by the checkered flag, both class race winners pulled away to victories of more than 4 seconds. The number 48 Paul Miller BMW, driven by German Max Hesse, Britt Den Harper, and Finn Jesse Krohn, finished runner-up in the GTD Pro class by a slight 4.907 seconds, followed by the team's number 1 BMW co-driven by the American trio of Madison Snow, Neil Verhagen, and Conor De Filippi.
Meanwhile, in Grand Touring Daytona, Swiss driver Philip Ellis pulled off perhaps the most dramatic move of the race to victory in the closing laps. His number 57 Windward Racing Mercedes-AMG GT3 passing Britt Jack Hawksworth and the number 12 Vassar Sullivan Racing Lexus RCF GT3 with less than 15 minutes remaining in the race. The GTD class provided one of the more dramatic race outcomes, with Ellis invoking a NASCAR-style bump-and-run bumper tap on the leading number 12 Lexus. The contact in turn 5 was enough to allow him to maneuver around and pull away from what was a tight pace all day.
Even then, the podium order was not fully decided until the very final seconds. The number 12 Vassar Sullivan Lexus ended second, with the number 27 Heart of Racing Team Aston Martin Vantage GT3 Evo in third. It marked the 9th IMSA victory for Ellis and Ward, and 5th for Donchi. Most have come in the Michelin Endurance Cup races. Ellis laughed off any controversy over his pass.
Unofficially, the number 65 Ford Multimatic Motorsports team holds a 17-point advantage on the Sebring winning GTD Pro Class winning AO Racing team. Meanwhile, the number 57 Windward Racing team takes a 41-point lead on the number 27 Racing team in the GTD class. GTD competitors head next to the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, April 11th through the 12th, while GTD Pro is off until the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and Monterey, May 9th through the 11th.
Porsche Penske Motorsport is clearly on a roll in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Grand Touring Prototype class, and Nick Tandy is reaping all the benefits in his historic fashion. by co-driving the number 7 Porsche Penske Motorsport Porsche 963 with Felipe Nasser and Lawrence Vantour to victory in the 73rd running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring. Tandy became the 10th driver to claim overall wins in international sports car racing's 3 most prestigious endurance races: Sebring, the Rolex 24 Daytona of Le Mans.
Nazar crossed the line 2.239 seconds ahead of Mathai Zamanet in the number 6 Porsche he shared with Matt Campbell and Kevin Estray, as Porsche Penske Motorsport earned its 22nd 1-2 finish in IMSA competition and first since Road America last August. The result gives the number 7 the 2024 GTP class champions, with a driver lineup consisting of Nazar and Dane Cameron, a solid 91-point lead over the number 6 in the GTP standings early in the new season.
Porsche's Saturday joy at Sebring also included a win in the Grand Touring Daytona prototype class for the number 77 911 GT3 R992, fielded by Aero Racing. But the major story was Tandy's historic feat. Over the last 7 weeks, the 40-year-old Englishman added crown jewel races to accompany his overall triumph at Le Mans in 2015. All were achieved with Porsche.
At Sebring, Nazar qualified the number 7 Porsche third fastest, then led most of the first hour after BMW Team RLL's Motorsport award-winning number 24 BMW M Hybrid V8 incurred a start procedure penalty. Nazar was in the number 7 when it took control of the race just before the halfway mark. From that point, its chief competition came from the number 31 Cadillac Wayland Racing Cadillac V Series R, which paced most of the 10th hour. But Tandy made an aggressive overtake on Frederick Vesti for the lead, and the Cadillac's speed faded in the cooler night conditions, allowing the number 6 Porsche and the number 93 Acura to claim the final 2 podium positions.
Gemini and Campbell were visibly frustrated after coming second best to the Porsche Penske team's number 7 car for the second consecutive race. Their number 60 car, the aforementioned number 31 Cadillac, and a pair of BMW M Hybrid V8 cars also factored in, but also faded from the podium due to some issues in the race. The debuting Aston Martin Valkyrie also ran consistently on debut to finish in 9th place.
Tom Dillman in the number 43 Inter-Europol competition ORECA LMP2 number 07 did not reach the front of the Le Mans Prototype 2 LMP2 class field until the very end of the 10th hour of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring. Dillman, the defending WeatherTech Championship LMP2 class champion for Inter-Europol with Nick Boll, led a total of 12 out of 347 laps during Saturday's 12-hour endurance contest in the car he is sharing with Bijoy Garg and Jeremy Clark. But they crucially included the last 8 as Dillman crossed the finish line 1.117 seconds ahead of Sebastian Bourdais, along with John Ferrano and Sebastian Alvarez in the number 8 ORECA, prepared by Power Motorsports.
Clark, the number 43 team's IMSA Michelin Endurance Cup driver, was unhappy with himself after qualifying 10th in class in his first visit to Sebring, but he gained 3 places during his opening quadruple stint, setting the stage for Garg and Dillman to advance the car into the top 3 in the race's 6th hour. The final 2 hours featured the 3-way scrap between Dillman, Bourdais, in the number 04 CrowdStrike by APR Orca that held the class lead by more than 50% of the race, before a late penalty dropped it to 6th place at the flag. It was left to Dillman to hold off the vastly experienced Bourdais down the stretch for his second career IMSA victory. Garg also owns 2 WeatherTech Championship race wins, 2023 Petit Le Mans in LMP3, plus a 24-hour Le Mans class win, 2024 in LMP2.
The number 11 TDS Racing ORECA that Stephen Thomas drove to the LMP2 Motorsport Award finished 3rd in class. After opening 2025 with a pair of iconic events counting toward the IMSA Michelin Endurance Cup, the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship resumes April 11th through the 12th with the first sprint race of the 2025 season, the 50th anniversary Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach for GTP competitors. The LMP2 field has an extended break until Salen's 6 hours of the Glen, June 19th through the 22nd.
It was a really great time in Sebring this past weekend. The weather was a ton of people there, though, and that made it not exactly the best, but it wasn't bad. It's always good to have a lot of people at those races, especially when they need the amount of people to keep the show going. And it's really good for the track to have that many people there. It seemed like they were fairly well organized. It was a new year, a new different way of doing ticketing there, as opposed to doing the paper tickets or the traditional plastic tickets they had at Sebring. They've gone to an all digital format where you have to actually have to purchase the tickets online and you scan them on your phone and all that. It wasn't really as bad as I had thought. It did cause a little bit of delay, but it wasn't that bad. And we were able to find a good spot in the track. We wandered around for a while, had found a good seat in a section that has been open for a few years, but used to be part of a special ticketed section, so it wasn't that bad. Then after that, we wandered around for a little bit more, and we found a seat in the backstretch area at the end of the main front. Front. It's like a super stretch there. It's the old runway for the Air Force Base. We found a good seat there. It was a really cars as they accelerate into the turn. So that was awesome to see that, especially considering we started out at turn 2, we ended basically at turn 1. So that was kind of neat. So it was a good race. We didn't spend a whole lot of time there, but we did spend a few hours. It was a really good time. Next year, I ended up doing it a little bit different. I ended up just heading up there on Friday instead of heading up there on Saturday, because that is always an option. So it'll be cool. It was a great time, great to see the people there. Didn't get a chance to talk to anybody. I got to message Vicky Miller, who has been on this program in the past, as well as Tom Moore, the Porsche representative, who's a really good guy. Had a chance to talk to him last season in Daytona. Didn't get a chance to talk to him this year, unfortunately, but we did get a chance to talk to him last year, so that was pretty awesome. Hoping to talk to him again later in the season, although he's not going to be heading to the Formula E race or the Formula One race this year, which is a little interesting. But I know he's got some other scheduled events going on. There's always a lot of races on those times each for the time of the Formula E race, but there's always options in the future, so that'll be cool. Hopefully, get to talk to him in the future. I'm really looking forward to going back to Sebring next year. I think Friday would be a better day, although Saturday is always fun for the main race. But again, there's a lot of people there. The parking lot was really, really full. We squeezed in. It was fun. We got there less than an hour before the race starts, so it didn't give us a lot of time to wander around the paddock area, which I would have enjoyed more. But my foot definitely enjoyed not wandering around through the paddock and few golf carts and some rides around there. So it was cool. It was a good to wander around. Had a really good weekend. Looking forward to the next race, which again will be the Formula E race coming up on the 11th of April. We're going to be heading on the 11th and 12th of April there, Friday and Saturday. Probably going to be heading down to the track both days to the Homestead Miami Speedway, because I do have a behind-the-scenes tour slated now for April 11th with some of the teams. I believe it's with the Jaguar team, the Jaguar TDS team. Let me check that really quick and make sure I did get that right. Jaguar TCS Racing, excuse me. Be hanging down there on Friday for that, talking to some of the people, including, let's see, who am I going to be talking to? I'm going to be talking to James Barkley, the managing director of JLR Motorsports and Jaguar TCS Racing, Mitch Evans, who's the Jaguar TCS Racing driver, and the ambassador of Dow Chemical, and Carlos Padilla, the head of Global Sports Partnership at Dow. So that'll be kind of cool to talk to those three men. I'll also give a chance to explore the track a little bit more, see how they're going to be setting up for the Formula E event on Saturday the 12th. So that'll be neat. Looking forward to that. Should be a really good race for the Formula E cars. It's been 10 years since they've been in South Florida. When they were here in 2015. Now they're heading out to the track there in Homestead Miami Speedway, which of course is where NASCAR is going to be heading this weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed that everything goes well there for them in Homestead this weekend. I know they've got the truck race scheduled this for tomorrow, I believe, and the Xfinity race on Saturday. So there is a huge brush fire there in the Homestead Miami Speedway area, and I think that might have a little bit of an impact on the track at Homestead. You can see the smoke rising up over the top of it in the live shots they had today, and that is not a good thing unless they get a control on it, and I don't think they will because it's very rural in that area. There's a lot of wilderness area. I don't think they'll have a full hand on it by tomorrow, and probably not by Saturday either or Sunday. It'll be a little smoky. So if you have respiratory issues or whatever, you might not want to head down to Homestead for the race, but there are still tickets available, of course. So go to homesteadmiamispeedway.com if you're interested in tickets for the NASCAR race this weekend. Again, as always, I'd advise heading down there for Friday. We've been before for the race. Last time was a few years ago. I head down there for the Truck Series event, as well as the Xfinity practice and the Cup Series practice. That was a great day. Friday is always a fun time there at Homestead for the NASCAR weekend. So I'd advise you to go down there if you can. But again, keep the weather in mind. It is going to be cool tomorrow. It's going to be in the 50s. So it's going to be cool, dry, and smoky. Those aren't exactly the best conditions. We can't control that all the time, and hopefully it stays far enough away from the track that doesn't cause an issue at the facility. I got my fingers crossed, but I don't know if that will actually happen. We'll see how it goes. I know they'll talk about it probably a little bit this weekend too. There's been some chatter online about that. I know you didn't have a chance to watch any of the racing from Sebring, but did you get a chance to watch any of the NASCAR event? I know you talked a little bit about that last weekend.
No, I didn't. It's kind of one of those things that I do usually turn on in like the background, and I can typically catch a lot of it. But nope, I didn't catch an iota. Did you?
Actually, I did not. No, I was down into my big thing was going to Sebring on Saturday, and I didn't even turn on any of the events at Las Vegas. I know it's always a good time there in Las Vegas. I had a great time. We went to the city. I did not turn on the NASCAR race from Las Vegas. I might have a little bit of the Homestead race on this weekend, but also I'm going to be busy this weekend. It is my birthday weekend, so it'll be a lot of stuff going on around that. And I'm really not planning on doing a lot of automotive stuff this weekend. I did plenty last weekend, and should be working me up in a few weeks. But I will be heading out to my plan is to head out to the Bacon and Bourbon Fest in Wellington for their event there on Sunday. So if you're in town in area, that could be a fun thing. It looks kind of cool. I know they've got a lot of stuff going on there at the Wellington Town Center now. Tonight, of course, Thursday is their food truck night at the Wellington Town Center. But this weekend, of course, is the Bacon and Bourbon Fest there. It should be kind of neat. It's been a few years since I've had a good bourbon tasting. So it might be good to try that out. They've also got the bacon, of course, and there's probably some really good bacon stuff, maybe some barbecue things. There's also, of course, the Tory Barbecue Festival going on Saturday. It's in Clewiston. They're in the lake area. So if you got some stuff there's a lot of stuff going on here in the Palm Beaches this weekend. The Torrey Island Barbecue Festival, the barbecue or the Bacon and Bourbon Festival, as well as the Poach Show. That's in downtown West Palm Beach along Flagler Drive. So a lot of stuff going on, and I'm probably going to be going to a little bit of it. Again, I've got a busy Sunday ahead, so much motorsports in my immediate weekend, but I'm looking forward to the racing coming up in April and again in May for the Formula One race. So those will be pretty darn cool. But not much racing for me anyway, although there is lots of stuff going on there, especially in Homestead this week. And hopefully that's going to be a good race. We did get a chance to drive by the Palm Beach International Raceway facility this past weekend on the way to and from Sebring. There isn't a lot going on out there. They've got a lot of construction into the property. They've got a new sign up for some sales of outlying areas. I think probably where they had the mud bog at one point is up for sale as a separate thing. So not exactly sure what the deal is there, but I'm hoping that something's going on at the track sometime soon. Um, so we'll see how it goes. Should be really, really good time there in the future of Palm Beach International Raceway. We also saw some other race cars on the way back. We saw probably heading out to the Hendry Motorsports Park there in the Lewiston area. So that would be that's something. We saw that on Saturday afternoon. We saw some pretty let's say basic looking sports cars heading out there towards Lewiston. So hopefully they had a good night at the Lewiston Motorsport Park. They also had the Okeechobee State Fair there, the Okeechobee County State Fair on Saturday. I know they had some small racing events there as well. So it was a lot of time in Florida. In South Florida, it's racing season. It's where everything gets squeezed in this little bit of time. There's always something going on. I know it's still awfully cold out there in your neck of the woods, but I think that the racing season should be picking up sometime next month there, correct?
Yeah, so we're in kind of the weird part of the year where the weather gets nicer and then you're like, oh, it's nice out. That's really neat. And then it snows. So right now we're still kind of fighting winter, but yes, next, what are we in, March? So April, about middle-ish, endish of April. I know a lot of the tracks in Washington anyway will be opening up their facilities for practice, and then a lot of the seasons should be kicking off towards the end of April, beginning of May is when we should be full blown into racing season in Washington.
So it should be good. There's as I stated, there's a lot of stuff going on down here. There always is, but this year at least, there's a few more races heading up into May as well, April and May. So that'll be cool. Um, Again, I'm looking forward to the Formula E race. Looking forward to that. Should be really neat to see that in a few weeks. It's amazing that it is only a few weeks away. So looking forward to that. Hoping it's going to be a good time. Hoping that I am walking around okay then. I'm getting better all the time. The last year when I went to Sebring, I definitely wasn't feeling 100%. This year I was feeling a lot better, and it was a good race. It was a really good time. So that's a good thing, and hopefully this next month is just as good, if not a little bit better. Look forward to that. Let's go ahead and move on. Talk a little bit more about the future. And of course, the International Motorsports Association revealed its 2026 calendar at the Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring for the second consecutive year, becoming the first major motorsport championship and 26 schedule. Stability and consistency continue with the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship schedule, as all 11 venues where the series races in 2025 will carry on into 2026.
A similar story occurs for the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, with the 10 race schedule from 2025 continuing with the same venues in 2026. The biggest change to the 2026 WeatherTech Championship schedule sees Road America joining the traditional complement of IMSA Michelin Endurance Cup races. The Rolex 24 at Daytona, Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, Saline 6 Hours of the Glen, and the Macho Petit Le Mans.
The Midsummer WeatherTech Championship race at Road America will feature Modal as its new partner and will increase to a 6-hour endurance race. Meanwhile, the penultimate race of the season at Indianapolis Motor Speedway becomes a 2-hour and 40-minute battle in September 2026, setting the stage for another epic championship showdown.
Aside from race lengths changing at Road America and Indianapolis, the WeatherTech Championship schedule remains consistent from 2025 to 2026. The season begins with the Roar Before the Rolex 24 mandatory test on January 16th through the 18th, then the 64th Rolex 24 at Daytona from January 21st through the 25th, Next up is the 74th Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring in its traditional spring weekend, March 18th through the 21st. These two races feature all four WeatherTech Championship classes: the Grand Touring Prototype, the GTP, Le Mans Prototype 2, the LMP2, Grand Touring Daytona Pro, and Grand Touring Daytona GTT and the Pro GTD classes.
California hosts the start of the WeatherTech Championship sprint race schedule, with the annual back-to-back trips to the streets of Long Beach on April 17th through the 18th for the GTP and GTD classes. The series then continues a few hundred miles up the California coast to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey for a 2-hour and 40-minute race on May 1st through 3rd for the GTP classes. WeatherTech Championship GTP and GTD Pro competitors then head to the streets of Detroit for a third consecutive year, May 29th and 30th.
Watkins Glen International hosts the Saline 6 Hours of the Glen from June 25th through the 28th, with all four classes back for the first time since March, before IMSA makes its annual trip north of the border to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, July 10th through the 12th. At CTMP, LMP2 is the headliner for a third straight year alongside the GTD Pro and the GTD. The Road America's 6-hour race is next from July 30th through August 2nd, with all four classes before the GT-only round at Virginia International Raceway, August 21st through the 23rd.
All four classes will participate in the final two races of the 2026 season at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on September 18th through the 20th, and the annual Model Petit Le Mans at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, September 30th through October 3rd. Through to the 2026 IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge 10-race calendar for Grand Sport, GS, and Touring Car TCR class competitors.
The 2026 Michelin Pilot Challenge runs alongside the WeatherTech Championship at every round aside from street course races in Long Beach and Detroit. The series also steps into the headliner spotlight at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course with a 4-hour endurance race on June 5th through the 7th. That 4-hour race joins the Daytona 4-hour race, with the remaining 8 rounds continuing at 2 hours. The schedule flows from Daytona to Sebring, Monterey to Mid-Ohio, then alongside WeatherTech Championship rounds at Watkins Glen, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Road America, VIR Indianapolis, and Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
That should be a good year next year for IMSA. It's been a really good year this year. They've started out really strong with a lot of attendance, whole lot of attendance at their Florida races in Daytona and Sebring. So hopefully it picks up and it does really well. They do rely a lot on attendance at the races, live attendance. They also have this is the first year where they're basically a streaming service only for IMSA races. You can catch it on Peacock or on their YouTube page the next day. So I tried to see some of the race on Peacock when I got home on Saturday. It didn't work for me. I know there's some issues with that still, but I was able to see some of it on Sunday, so that got worked out. Seeing the live event, that's still a pretty big bug, and I know there's some other people who complained about that as well. Um, so it should be it's an interesting growth thing for them. I know that they're not the only series that's doing that. In fact, NASCAR is definitely moving in that direction as well. They've got the new Amazon Prime coverage, which features Carl Edwards as one of the analysts there. So that's kind of cool. Anybody who's a fan of Carl Edwards from his days racing in Sprint Cup, enjoy his analytical style on Amazon Prime when they cover the NASCAR races a little bit more this year. So that's kind of a neat thing. I know that the racing is definitely changing. The way that that broadcasting is done for everything is changing now. It's all a definitely adaptation to the needs of the world in terms of television and televised content. So kind of cool. Some of it's better than others, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of an article about that soon with some of the different changes. So be sure to check that out on my page at the motorsports news and views.com. cohosts.wordpress.com. Be sure to check that out there. I posted a lot of articles this past weekend on that page, and you should be sure to check that out. Definitely some interesting stuff on there. A lot of reviews of some of those things happened in Daytona, the motorcycle weekend, and the motorcycle. Looked like it was a really good time there in Daytona. And again, I'd love to head out there. I don't know if I'm going to do it next year or the following year, but I'd love to go out there for Bike Week. That would be pretty cool. It's definitely on my list of stuff to head out to at some point in the future. So that would be neat. I think the best thing would probably be the 200, especially if you're able to wander around just like the infield for the 24-hour race. The flat track races would be kind of neat. Some of the stuff off track, the Wheel of Death and that sort of thing, kind of cool too. As I said before, I don't think that the Supercross event there that they have at the Speedway is as good as it could be because simply because the sight lines aren't as good. You are pretty far away with the grandstand seating, and when you're standing there, you're just too close. So it's one of those sort of things. That is the issue with Supercross in some different venues. Also, of course, the weather. The weather can be pretty fickle in Daytona, and I know this year it was better. That's a great thing. So hopefully it holds up for the future there. This weekend's going to be a busy weekend of racing. Not only the race there in Homestead, but also the IndyCar race at the Thermal Club's coming up this weekend. So be sure to check that out. Should be really good. Again, I've seen the racing at Homestead before. It's been really good. The racing at Thermal Club looks interesting. There's some people who are really, really keen on the fact they're racing at the Thermal Club. Other people aren't quite as happy about it. That goes for drivers as well as fans. But it should be a good race. IndyCar started out very good there at the this weekend. In addition, the Formula One is going to be racing. I believe they're racing. I think they're racing in Australia. Don't quote me on that. I know they've got it's a really tight turnaround, so should be good to see that as well. Again, looking forward to the Formula One race coming up in May. That'll be my first Formula One race, and I don't cover Formula One as much as I probably should. I have been posting some more Formula One information on the page in advance of the Formula One South Florida in May, so be sure to check that out at motorsportsnewsandviews.wordpress.com. Definitely put up a few good Formula One stories. I got more that are sort of being worked on right now. I'll be hoping to get some interviews with some Formula One guys. That will be in May. I don't think I'll have many in advance of it, but I'm working on it and hoping to have that come out pretty quick. So that's my hope anyway. I'm also hoping to get some guys from the Formula E series on the show before. That might happen more. Got a better shot of that anyway. If anything, I will end up having some recorded interviews I'll be posting on this show around both the Formula E race as well as the Formula One race. So next month and early May, be looking forward to that. Are you a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner? Maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport. Contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 50 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. It's got guest I'd like to inform you of course, the guys from Barrett Jackson, which comes up here in April as well, in the Palm Beach area. That I'm working on. I've been working on that for months now. So hoping to hear more from the Barrett Jackson guys, some people who are familiar with Barrett Jackson. So that would be cool. As well as other people. I was looking forward to having an interview tonight with a driver who's in NASCAR. Out for her schedule, so I won't go ahead and give her name, but she is an up-and-coming driver. She's sponsored by Celsius, and hopefully she'll be on the show sometime in the future. Just right now, she wasn't feeling 100% ready for a live broadcast, and it's just because we're too intimidating. It's hardcore, and Some people just can't handle it, I suppose. But we try our best, and we have had a good success rate with guests. Um, some people more than successful than others, of course, but it's been pretty good all in all. And again, we'd love to talk to you. So, what race are you most looking forward to that's coming up shortly?
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. I like all racing. I don't know. And any event that I can catch and I can actually enjoy, I enjoy them all. I'd like to go to everything if I could. What about you?
Well, again, I'm looking forward to the. I think they're going to be really good. Something a little different. Again, like I said, I haven't been to a Formula E race in nearly 10 years. Never been to a Formula One race. So, and I'm really looking forward to the behind the scenes things. Did get confirmation today for the Formula E race behind the scenes on the 10th. I might be doing one on the 11th rather of April. I might be doing one on that Wednesday before as well, which is like the 9th of March. So the 8th, I think. So that 8th of April, excuse me. So that would be cool too. From DA, how they transport the cars. So that would be pretty cool. Um, the transport of cars across international borders is something that's insane. I know DHL has a lot of work with that. They've worked with the Formula E since season one as their official transport partner. I don't know how long they've been with Formula One. I will definitely find that out shortly. But I know they've been with Formula E since their first season. So I think they're on season 12 now, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty neat. Look to a good year of racing overall. Um, won't be going to any drag races this year, unfortunately, but that it is what is, and it should be a really good year. I know you mentioned your husband and your father and your son were planning on going to a race in Seattle, the Supercross race there. When's that supposed to be?
Yeah, the race is next Saturday, and they got their ticket and everything. So, yep, they're gonna go. I'm gonna make sure that I pack the raincoats and the ponchos. We went one year and we were so unprepared. It was really bad, but now we kind of know what to expect, and I'll make sure they're prepared. They can go sit in the stands, and I will watch that one comfortably from the couch.
There you go. That's a. Sometimes I think those races are better seen from the comfort of your own home there, especially because of the sightlines and the fact that the sometimes you can't get close enough, or you're too close, and that's the way it is. The only Supercross race I've ever been to that was better to see in person than to see on TV was the one in Orlando at the Citrus Dome. That was awesome. Citrus Bowl. That was totally awesome. It was really close. It was really not that race anymore, and I think that's a big mistake that the people made. But it's not my call. I don't run the schedules for Supercross. If I did, I'd choose some different things. But I think that was the best one because you were really really close to all the action. It was able to get close to both the garage area as well as the as seeing them on track. So that was pretty neat. But and I think the one from Daytona is really really cool to see from home. But as I stated, being there maybe once would be cool, but after that, you never know. Um, but I'd love to go to some of the Bike Week things there. I've seen some good things about that. That would be pretty cool.
What
Um,
about
I
Truck
was
Week? Have you ever went to Truck Week in Daytona? Or I think it's Daytona. Maybe it's
on
Miami.
it. Well, they've got one in Daytona. On Daytona, unfortunately, we sort of ended up in it. It wasn't planned. Um, the parade was cool. The fact that they had a lot of awesome vehicles there. It was before I had my truck, and I'd actually love to bring my truck up there if I was able to invest more time and stuff in it. But it was good. It was pretty neat to see those trucks. They do some amazing things with them, and they also do some stupid things with them. If you've seen those sort of truck things where they really lower the rear end and have the front end way too high up in the air, and I don't think it looks very good either. But it's definitely colorful, and there's some really hyped up people there. I can say that. So definitely hyped up people. Especially it's in June, but in Daytona anyway, sometimes in June it gets to be about the same temperature it is right now, which is low 70s and no humidity, which means it's cool, and was not the most comfortable to be outside at that time. Florida's weird because when it's too humid, it's really uncomfortable. When it's not too humid, it's not comfortable either. So and there's not really much of a happy medium. So it is what it is, especially this year. This year it's either really humid and really nasty out, or it's too dry to even think about going outside and breathing because you end up feeling all dried out and weird. So um, hopefully it gets better. Hopefully the weather in Sebring was perfect. It was the low 70s and the humidity was sort of about 60%, so it wasn't bad. Hopefully it's about like that in uh, weekend. I know it's going to be cooler in Miami this weekend. It's going to be in the low 70s and low humidity, so that's okay. But it's going to be windy. It's going to be really windy, and that's not exactly the ideal conditions, especially with all the smoke in the area, especially in Miami. Um, but I'm hoping that the weather is really good for the racing there in Homestead in April, and again for the racing in Miami Gardens in May. Because I know last year I wasn't able to be there. I was held up. I watched the race, but it was really hot. You could tell it was really hot. It was just too hot. So I'm hoping that it's good, and I'm hoping it's happy. I'm hoping it's fun. It should be good. So how many races does your nephew have on his docket for this season now?
Well, as it stands, I think there's about 7 for like a full season at one track. The other track closing kind of put a damper on some things. So about 7. I think officially there's 7 races, but whether he'll be able to make them all is kind of another story. I don't know. He plays soccer right now too, so he's got kind of a full schedule. But 7, as it stands, 7, and they're
You
kind of
should get him involved in
changing.
the car soccer. I've seen that.
Oh, what? I've seen that too, but I thought that was only something they did on video games. I didn't realize that was like something that they really did until I seen it on
Hmm.
YouTube, and I was like, wow! I thought that was just something they did on video games. I didn't realize people were wise enough to actually do it.
And there's always
So,
something. So
would you try car soccer?
no, no car soccer for me. Thank you. Uh, I am. I tried drag racing before in the Palm Beach International when I was like 19. I took my Dodge Daytona on the track there. That was good enough for me the one time. And I've done, of course, a few racing schools and that sort of thing. But that's as far as I go with that.
Yeah, understandable. Was that your first car, your Dodge Daytona? Was that your first car?
See, that was my second car, third car, second car. My first car was a 1967 MG 1100, um,
Oh
which
wow.
it went fast enough, but it wouldn't it wouldn't go. I suppose probably if it went 70, it was a It was insane. It had no seat belts in the back seat anyway. In the front seat, it had a little lap belt, and it had 1,200 miles on it when I got it for 1967. When I was driving it in 1993, so it wasn't a new car, but it definitely had 0 miles on it, like 1,200 miles, because the woman who had it before, it was one of those take to the grocery store once a month type cars, and I put 8,000 miles on it in a year. So, and then it died. But it was a great car. It was fun. It was a great starter car, and it was definitely the sort of thing that got your attention. And it was my 1987 Dodge Daytona was just a Dodge Daytona. It was neat too, but it wasn't. It was fast. It was really fast, but it was not the most comfortable car in the universe. And then my '91 Dodge Charger was cool too. It was red. It was beautiful. And if that would be the car that would have kept for a while, but that ended up having a car accident in the what 99 maybe, and that was the end of that car. But um, going on from there, I think that the Charger, the Daytona was the fastest. The Charger was my favorite. Um, so and the MG was just amazing. Um, Again, I'd love to. MG was probably the best car to have for a little 17-year-old guy driving around town. It was small enough to get into all sorts of spots. It was light enough where if you had three of your friends, you could lift it up if you didn't have a jack. It was just a fun car. So,
What color was your
what was your
MG?
MG? Was white, bright white with lots of chrome, awful lot of chrome, and a little um, pug on the hood, little pug hood ornament thing. So it was fun, and all wicker for the in the back trunk area was wicker, with the wicker inserts and a wicker shelf in there. It was pretty neat. I think the wicker was like a made in India type thing, so it was something. Definitely don't make those cars like that anymore. Cars with little with the the carburetor and the had to use the had to warm it up. There was like a heater type thing, switch you had to turn on. It was all little switches type thing in the car. So like 20 switches to get going. It was an experience, and I'd actually love to do something like that again, but I'd never find that car. I haven't seen another one of those around here ever. So I'm sure there's one. I've looked it up online. I know that they exist. I know that they imported maybe 500 of them to the United States, but there were it was an interesting car, very fun. What was your first car?
My first car was a white 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse RS, and I loved that car. I actually still have it. It's actually sitting in my parents' garage. My dad, bless his soul, he did kind of a bit of a number on it, on accident, of course, but he was picking me up from work in it one day because it had been snowing and I was a brand new driver. I didn't feel comfortable driving in the snow, let alone late at night. And so my dad picked me up in it, and we literally made it home. And we made it up. They have like a quarter-mile long driveway, and we made it up the driveway. And my dad sideswiped the car trailer. So we made it home. He picked me up, and we still managed to sideswipe something.
That's no good. Yeah, I've had that. I had that happen in one of my cars at one point, but it was not fun, and it's my Dodge Charger was a little beefier than the car that I bumped into, but it's not very much fun. My car was definitely not as beefy. My Daytona was not as beefy as the truck that slammed into it in the late '90s, though. But there's still a teeny spot on the sidewalk. If you know where to look for, you'll see a little spot of fluid where the car ended up landing after it flew through the intersection, through the air for like 30 feet. Teeny little spot on the sidewalk there in Lake Worth. If you look for it right in the middle of the intersection of US 1, you'll see a little teeny spot. The one in the other car, the the it was totaled. That one actually ended up changing the traffic pattern entirely on Congress and Hypluxo. So now you can't make the sort of turn that I made at that point because it was dangerous, and I was the last person who ever made that sort of turn. And then that was the last car that last time they decided that there had been enough accidents, and my car was the last one to make that sort of turn in front of the place where the accident happened. So I was lucky that way. Ended up changing the traffic pattern in the middle of Boynton Beach. So there we go.
Well, then it happened for a reason.
Yeah, it is. It's always fun, and I'm lucky. I've been very lucky since that time, not having any really big traffic accidents. The one in Lake Worth was scary. The one in Lantana Boynton area was not as bad. But I've been very lucky, and it's been great. My truck now, my current truck, that I had since 2 years now, is it needs a little bit of TLC now because I haven't had really the motivation for the past year or so to go out there and wash it and keep it clean and keep it happy as it could be. But it's getting more usage now. It's fun and it's good, and it gets me where I need to go. And it's really great color. The Area 51 is fun, so it's awesome. And I'd advise anybody who wants to get a small, or actually I think it's a medium sized truck, to look into the Ford Maverick. It's been an awesome purchase, and it can haul enough stuff that if you need whatever you need, you can squeeze it in the back of the truck. And if you need to do any towing of anything light, you can do that. It's a very good machine, and I'd highly recommend it if you're interested in an entry level pickup truck. Go ahead and invest in the Ford Maverick. I'd highly recommend it. It's great. So really, really fun. Lots of stuff to do to it. Lots of options if you want to change things up, especially if you're interested in applications for lighting or for lifting or for dropping, that sort of thing. It's got lots. It's very easy to do, easy to have fun with, and it's a great automobile. I really highly recommend it. Been fun, and I'm looking forward to spending more time driving around my truck shortly. I will be driving down Homestead with that, so that'll be cool. Driven up to Daytona with it a few times. Going to Homestead will be really concerning. I think I will be being able to drive on the track from the e-race. That's one of those sort of things, the behind the scenes thing will allow you to do that. So that'll be cool.
What's what's your favorite feature that your Maverick has?
Good question. I think the favorite feature is the it's got like a pause feature where you can hit the little button, so you don't have to keep your foot on the brake when you get off at stoplights, or when you're sitting at like a drive through and that sort of thing. And as soon as you get off the gas, it stops, and you don't have to worry about putting in a park or anything else. You're just sitting there, and then you can, as soon as you hit the accelerator, you go. It makes it easier um, than just putting it in park and having to set the brake and all that stuff. So that's a really fun feature, especially for stoplights and for drive-throughs and that sort of thing. For going to the bank, that's probably the best feature for that. My wife doesn't like it, but she thinks she'd rather just go. But I think that the pause feature is really cool, and it's also got a good screen on it. That I'm actually thinking about changing the screen a little bit, and where you can actually watch TV and that sort of stuff on there. Right now, it does the normal stuff that average TV screens do for in cars. It's got the navigation display and all that. But I'm trying to modify. I'm thinking about modifying that in the future to make that a little bit better. There's all sorts of stuff you can get to actually turn it into a real TV screen. I know you're not supposed to have that necessarily, but if you're on long road trips and that sort of thing, it would make it a lot better than running out and having to fish for and all that stuff. So that'd be fun. So it should be a again. I'm looking forward to all the racing coming up here in South Florida. Hopefully, the guys who are heading down there in Homestead have a good time this weekend. Hopefully, the weather holds out and the fire doesn't get any closer because it's definitely way too close to the track now. It's within 5 miles of the track now. You can see it from all the pictures. You can see the smoke rising. Hopefully, it stays far enough away. I know that they had some issues with the traffic in the Keys the past few days. They actually had a shutdown of US 1 going south into Monroe County from Dade County, from Miami-Dade County, which is very, very close to the track there. But hopefully that clears up or it stays at least far enough away where the on-track activity for NASCAR goes off without a hitch tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. For all of you guys heading down there, have a good time. For all of you who listen tonight, I know there are a few of you who are in the live
Yes.
coming in and listening to our little program here. I look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks. And with that, be sure to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder, as well as the shows on the Speedway Digest Radio Network by searching on your favorite search engine. It's now not available on the Blog Talk Radio site anymore because that page has been taken down, which is unfortunate, but that sort of stuff happens. Um, I did put a link on the main page for this show, the Thursday Night Thunder podcast.podbean.com. You can now find some of these shows from the Speedway Digest Radio Network on there. Be sure to check that out. Facebook by visiting facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder and listening to previous episodes of the show on Thursday Night Thunder podcast.podbean.com. You can also find past episodes on YouTube. Now I've got it on my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/FABORPLUMBS. That's under the podcast section. Not only the shows they've been recorded for this program, but also some of the shows that we had on Podbean from Speedway Digest days. Be sure to check those out. I invite you to check out my racing news site at motorsportsnewsandviews.wordpress.com. Put up a lot of articles this past weekend on there, but I put up a few more this weekend as well. I don't have quite as many in the hopper now because I've caught up at least a little bit. But you can check that out, motorsportsnewsandviews.wordpress.com. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida, and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our slice of paradise at my travel blog, For Plum's Fantastic Finds, which can be found on Facebook at For Plum's Fantastic Finds, on Twitter, be happening, and by heading to For Plum's Fantastic Finds, it's FABORPLUMBS, fantasticfinds.wordpress.com.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing.
Have a great night, and thanks again.